Welcome to the Support Report podcast, hosted by United Community Supports of Maryland. Here, we discuss any and all topics relating to adults with developmental disabilities as we strive to make support resources and other interesting topics more accessible to our community. On this episode of the Support Report, we will meet Lauren and Britt, the founders of Barrier Free. So, what is Barrier Free Maryland?
Yeah, well, it's actually just barrier free. The MD gets confusing because we had to put MD on our website domain because lo and behold, barrierfree.com was taken.
Of course.
So it's just barrier free. And we are a nonprofit that serves neurodivergent adults. So we provide inclusive art, life skill, and social skill programming to the community.
Awesome. And where are you guys located?
Yeah, we have a home-based location in Sykesville, Maryland, right on Main Street. And we also do programming in Westminster.
Yeah, so primarily located in Carroll County, but we serve folks from all over. So we have folks that come from us as far south as PG County, east to Anne Arundel County, west out to Hagerstown, and north up to like the southern parts of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Sykesville's a good little hub.
It's about 5 minutes from everything.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And can you give some more information about the types of programs that you offer?
Absolutely.
Sure. We have what's called the Inclusive Theater Companies. So from September to March, both of our companies are rehearsing improvisational scenes. And from those improvisational scenes, they build stories. From those stories, turns into a script. And then the script is rehearsed traditionally. And in March, they perform that for their friends and family. So that's Inclusive Theater Company. So mentors, actors alike are all in there together to perform for everybody. And it's an original show, original musical each time. So the script is written just for them and the music is written just for them.
Yeah, and that's our flagship program. That's where Barrier Free got started, was just with the theater companies. And so we have two of them, Company A and Company B, and they rehearse on separate days for that 7-month process, but then they come together in the end for the audience to give the audience a 2-part feature. So each show is one act, and then there's the intermission in between. Right. So it makes it a more accessible process for our folks.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and then from there during the pandemic, well, I guess right before the pandemic, we started offering monthly social clubs. So that meant like a large social outing in the community, something like Hershey Park or pottery painting or medieval times.
Yeah, we just went to the Mario movie last week.
Fun.
Yeah, so then we moved from the arts component, the integrated social skill learning, because there's a lot of learning that happens through theater, your emotional expression, your two-way dialogue, your group connectivity and skills in working with others, memorization of lines and blocking and music and dancing, regardless of one's threshold, everyone's a part of the process. So that social skill piece then kind of easily put us over into adding on social clubs. And then the pandemic happened, as we all know. I'm not sure if you've heard about it, but the pandemic. So we moved to Zoom and we started offering social skills classes. And those were brief snippets. So they'd only be like 4 weeks long, because with the pandemic, everyone was kind of taking it month to month. Yeah. And these classes started filling to waiting lists. So coming out of the pandemic, we made
the Life Skills and Social Studio. And that is where our location is in Sykesville. So we went from online, and we were pulling a lot of people from all those areas that Lauren had mentioned earlier. We're like, what if we did this in person? And so we found the space and created the studio, and we do life skills, social skills, and expressive arts component every single day. We're every weekday. And it is turned out to be pretty remarkable. We tailor the schedule to individual needs of the group at that time, and our space is open every day in the afternoons.
Wow. And so is everything in person now, or do you guys still have the virtual component as well?
It is still in person. So when we started moving our programming to in person, we were still dabbling in some online things, and we weren't having as much enrollment at the time. So we've put our focus into the in person, just with the bandwidth. I mean, never say never, but that's where we are at right now.
Yeah, totally understandable. And can you give like an average cost overview of your program and how to enroll, all that sort of stuff?
Sure.
Yeah. So our life skills and social studio programming is something that we consider like a part-time skill learning program. It's not an all day, every day type of design. So folks come for either a 3-hour or a 6-hour session. They can come once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. That's the average, with a minimum of attendance once a week. And it's part-time because our folks are working on other things in their life. They're navigating their part-time jobs, attending continuing education classes or community college classes or internships, or spending time, working on independent living skills, any assortment of those other components of one's life. And so they come to us for just the part-time skill learning. So that program for a 3-hour session right now is $42. And the 6-hour session is $74. And that's a pretty all-inclusive price, other than asking to bring some spending money for when we go out into the community. We're out in the community all the time because we're located on Main Street. So it's very accessible to be out every day. And then we also do larger outings that are pre-planned, like to the Carroll Arts Center or to the grocery stores to shop for our cooking projects or any other outings of that sort. And that's during the midday to afternoons. And then our evening programs are a different price. So our expressive arts and our theater companies. So we mentioned the theater companies go from September to March. That's last season was
275.
200. Yeah, 275 for a 24-week season, including a tech week and 3 shows. So it actually breaks down to less than $5 an hour for that program, even though it's a higher price tag. And folks sometimes pay that in installments since it is a 7-month season. So they pay it maybe $50 a month or even smaller if needed. And then when those theater companies aren't happening, we have expressive arts classes that run.
Yeah, and the expressive arts classes depends on what the class is, the supplies needed for that, but it can range anywhere in like the $80 range.
It's around $10 to $12 like per class session, and then take it as like an 8-week class.
And then our social clubs, the prices vary because it depends on what the event is. So, I mean, the movies was a little lower ticket item, but someplace like, Medieval Times. Yeah, that would be a higher ticket item because there's the show and everything included. So they would cover the cost of that plus a little bit more for transportation, staffing, all of that. So.
Yeah, but the social clubs are run by our team, but through volunteer hours. So the additional staffing piece built on is really only to supplement the cost of like the tickets for the staff to also see the event. And then they're volunteering their time. To staff the events because we believe in it so much. It's kind of like the icing on the cake of barrier free.
Yeah, we want to make sure that our prices are affordable and accessible to anyone within whatever socioeconomic status they are. So
that's great. And how would one like enroll in your programs?
So for our life skills and social studio, we call it an intake process. We ask the families to reach out to us directly, and then we schedule a time to chat on the phone and usually a tour and a meet and greet. And then there's 2 free sessions. Those are no strings attached sessions. We want to make sure that the individual has a good idea of what our program is before they're committing to it, that our program is a good fit, and that the parents also understand what it is, because although the program is for the individual, there's typically a support by the parents, whether it be financial or transportation or coordinating services. So we want the parents to kind of know us and know what it is, especially since the studio is a program that just keeps going. It's not an 8-week or 10-week program. I mean, our individuals are going to be neurodivergent for life. So skill learning should continue for life. And hopefully that's with us, but it just kind of goes on and on. So that's the process for that program.
Yeah. So I think that's when people get involved in the studio, they're like, okay, well, when's it end? And we're just like, well, it's not, like Lauren said, it's not like a class. It's not like a theater season with there's an end in sight. There's an official start date and there's official end date. And that can be difficult to navigate for our folks because it is as much as our studio sessions are structured, there isn't a finalized time. There will be an ebb and flow. There will be times that they go to vacation or they miss a week or two. But they should be in regular attendance because they're working on these skills every day. And a lot of times, like Lauren said, they're out in their jobs, they're out in schools, and these are transferable skills that they're working on, that they are working on at the studio that they can then transfer over to their jobs or workplace or school. So
Yeah, and their schedule might ebb and flow. So, for example, we had one individual that was with us 3 days a week, and then over time they acquired a job, and then they acquired a second job. So they now have 2 part-time jobs, and they come to us still 1 day a week to the studio. They participate in our theater companies, and they attend our social clubs. So the support has scaled back a bit, but it's not completely gone.
Right.
Sure.
And then with our theater companies, we're fortunate that on our side for barrier free, that they're at a waiting list right now. It's not always fortunate for folks that want to come in. But so that is as space is available. So folks can sign up on the wait list on our website. We will be figuring out spaces for next season in the coming months after all of our current actors have been given the opportunity to re-enroll for the next season.
Yeah.
And then
so good. And social clubs, you have to be enrolled in the Life Skills and Social Studio, because the skills that we're practicing at the studio, we then implement at the social outing. So for example, we did the movies last week. We rehearsed how to get the popcorn and navigate all of the candy and the transactions and all of that. And while that might seem simple to somebody that is neurotypical, it's a lot to navigate. If you think of having your hands full, plus like pulling out the ticket and the cash and then finding the theater. And so we practice that. And that's why it's so important that, and then we've kind of made it a prerequisite. I can't even say that word, prerequisite. Help me out. Prerequisite for the social club. So you attend the studio for about 3 months, and then you can start attending the social clubs, because we've learned some skills. Yeah.
Awesome.
But we do, so our theater companies are full, but we have our expressive arts classes in the spring and summer. And so summer improv is coming up starting soon in June, and there are spaces available for that class. And then we also haven't mentioned, there's another small program called our music studio that our music director runs, and he does group jam sessions on Sundays. Jam sessions are full of percussion instruments and sing-alongs and vocal techniques and social skill learning and activities. And those are just drop-in. So it's a rolling basis. Right now, we still has room for new members to attend. We know Sundays can be, a time for family and other events. So it's not like a long-term commitment every Sunday. You kind of come when you can.
Right.
And he does accessible one-on-one music lessons. So that program is ongoing.
Wow. That's awesome. You guys really have a lot to offer, which is fantastic.
It's like a menu.
Yeah, it really
is
is.
a menu.
It really is. And what would you say is the most rewarding part of what you do?
That is a great question.
Go ahead.
I
would say the most rewarding part is when we see that our folks who have been with us for a few months really start to get it.
I was going to say that. Yeah. I was like, you're going to take it.
We can say it together.
Yeah.
So there's a time where, you come to the studio or any of our programs, the theater companies, the classes, and you're getting a feel for things. And you're like, okay, this is cool. I get it. I'm having fun. But then the friendships really start to meld, and the peer mentorship that starts to occur, where some of our folks that have been there for longer start helping others navigate social interactions and moments.
Yeah, it's almost like a switch. When new people come in, they're expecting, like, is this going to feel like school? Is this going to feel like work? What is this going to feel like? So they have, these lived experiences in their past, and they're trying to equate it to what the studio is going to feel like, and it doesn't feel like those things. So they kind of have to adapt their thinking a little bit. They're having fun, but they're still kind of being like, what is this? I don't really get it. Why am I here? But I'm having fun. And these people are really, really like nice to me. And we have people that are taking them under their wing. But eventually, after they do a couple things, it's just like a switch. They're like, oh my gosh, I get it. Like, I've never had something like this before. I get to come and hang out with my friends, and I'm learning skills at the same time. But all they know is they're having fun, and that these skills that they're having fun learning are then applied in other areas. And it's really beautiful to see that moment where they're like, I get it. I get it. We had one of those the other day where one of our folks, a new person, you like that story, the new person was like, what are we doing? What are we doing? We were just sitting around, and we were cooking together, and we each doing like an individual part of the cooking project, because we can't all do the same thing. Like, so one person's chopping the vegetables, one person's measuring, one person's stirring the broth. And so we got multiple things going on, but sometimes it's kind of just, we have to sit and talk because it's just 15 people making one pot of soup, right?
Right.
So we're sitting and talking. And so one person was like, so what are we doing? And the other guy's like, hey, we're sitting and talking and hanging out and being friends. Don't you want to talk to me? And I was like, he's got it. He's got it. He's got it. And they loved it. And it was like, he was sharing to her what the process was, because he got it. And that was really cool.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you both so much for your time again. I really appreciate it. And just best of luck to you and your business.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks again for listening to the Support Report podcast. Tune in next month for a new episode.